Hi, Jane Beisel here. In our first installment from Life Simplified, Organized for Clarity, we discussed the three components of our approach to maximizing your personal potential and productivity: tools, habits, and systems. We also discussed the tool Time Timer and its use in everyday life. Later in this video, we'll give you a specific example of using the Time Timer to implement a new habit. I frequently hear that I don't have time for that, or who has time to fill in the blank. Yet we all know people who accomplish more in one day than others do in a week. Each of us has 24 hours per day. How do you choose to spend those 1,440 minutes? Do you know how you're spending those minutes? And just as crucial, do you know what is truly important to you? Today we'll be covering a personal time management tool that I've created, the Daily Focus and Activity Tracker, combined into one takeaway product. This tool is useful in forming new habits. Let's dive in using these three steps: aspirations, actual, and achieve. Contrary to what you may have heard, the first step to being more productive and accomplishing your goals is not to write a to-do list and prioritize. That's putting the cart before the horse. The first step, aspirations, is thinking about what is your mission in life? What is your purpose? Also, what is your vision statement? These are core values that guide you in achieving your mission. Knowing the overarching themes of your life are key to being able to focus on what's truly important to you. One method of honing in on your mission is to look at life roles, as in this diagram from Mind Tools Limited. At different ages in your life, you fulfill different roles, and obviously there's an overlap in roles, with some lasting a lifetime. For example, student can be a lifelong role if learning is important to you as it is to me. Another way of looking at your purpose is to define categories that are important to you. Write down the areas that come to mind. Here are 10 categories to get you started. On a scale of 1 to 5, rank how important each category is to you, with 5 being the most important. Then rate each category on how you feel you're doing on a scale of 1 to 5. With 5 being that you feel you are meeting your aspirations. For simplicity, subtract the rating from the rank. If the score is positive, focus on those categories to create new goals. Pick the most important, i.e., the highest ranking categories with the lowest rating score. These are all greater than 0. To be clear, the greater the number above 0, the more important it is to you. In this example, altruistic, artistic, and physical categories all have room for improvement. These would be the areas to set new goals to make the most impact. Step 2, actual, entails tracking what you actually spend your time doing each day. Using the activity tracker, write down activities as they occur, whether they were planned or unplanned, start-stop time, what you were feeling, and any notes related to that activity. Do this for 1 week to allow for variations in your schedule. This is where the rubber meets the road. If you aren't entirely honest and diligent about recording what's happening in your day, you won't be able to correct your course. I realize that this will be a challenge for many of you, and it may feel counterintuitive. Do your best, it will pay off. If you need assistance at any step, reach out and contact me via the website. I can help you virtually by a Zoom conference call. Just as keeping a food diary helps you achieve your dietary goals, so can tracking what you spend your valuable time on each day. This will visually show you the disconnect between aspirations and your actual activities. I may say my health is a high priority, for example, but is this what the activity tracker reports? Am I spending my time on preparing healthy meals, meditating, and exercising? Or am I a gold medal couch potato? Look for patterns and triggers where you're wasting your time. These patterns will be different for everyone. For example, if you see that a large part of your day is spent on TV, movies, social media, and that isn't supporting your aspirations, it may be time to rethink your daily activities. Think of time like currency. If what you spend your time on isn't bringing you closer to accomplishing your goals, you're wasting your most valuable commodity, time. If you're using the Activity Tracker Premium version in Excel, you'll be able to see a graph of planned versus unplanned activities. If you have a high percentage of unplanned activities and aren't meeting your goals, that's a key pattern to focus on to, quote, acquire more time to use in accomplishing planned activities and achieving new goals. Triggers can be positive or negative. Once you recognize what your unique triggers are, they can help you modify your behavior and create lasting change. We'll touch on this next in Step 3, Achieve, but for now, just review the activity tracker and see if there are triggers that you can use to overcome unwanted behavior. Now that you see that there is time in your day to form new habits, what will you choose to do with it? Step 3, Achieve, begins with defining goals for the categories you've chosen to focus on in Step 1. George T. Duran first used the term SMART in the November 1981 issue of Management Review. The acronym stands for Specific, Measurable, Achievable, Relevant, and Time-based. Use these as a means to define and clarify your goals. 3 goals are plenty to start with. Taking one for each of my focus aspirations in Step 1 above. For artistic, I've chosen learn how to do calligraphy painting. For altruistic, I've chosen volunteer at the community center. For physical, I've chosen to use the resistance band each day. Now I'll start turning these goals into habits. For more on habits, check out Charles Duhigg's amazing book, The Power of Habit: Why We Do What We Do in Life and Business. He goes into great detail on how to form new habits and breaking the cycle by recognizing the routine, finding a suitable reward, and reverse engineering the cue. So let's drill down on the physical aspiration and create a SMART goal for using the resistance band. Specifically, using the resistance band to continue physical therapy strength training that I've let slide. Measurable would be 2 times a day, which I feel is achievable. Relevance is that it's adding physical activity in a fun way to my daily routine, and the time-based component is 5 minutes per session. I suggest starting with 1 goal and make it a habit for 4 weeks. Then add your second goal, reinforce that for 4 weeks until it becomes a habit. Finally, start on your 3rd goal and work on reinforcing it as a habit. You'll know it's a habit when you no longer have to consciously think about it, like brushing your teeth after meals or driving a car. Initially, it takes thought and effort. Eventually, a new habit is formed. Let's say I'm looking to be more productive, freeing up my time to meet new goals. I can see from the activity tracker that I spend too much time on social media. I know I can use that time more effectively, hopefully in achieving my physical health exercise goal. And let's say every time I log on to answer emails, I'm distracted by notifications or instant messages. These are triggers that send me down the rabbit hole. One easy step I can take is to turn off those notifications and accomplish my email task in a batch. As we now know, multitasking does not equate to productivity. It's the exact opposite. Frequent interruptions waste time by forcing you to continually start, stop, and regain any flow you had going previously. As mentioned in my video on Time Timer, setting a clock to count down and keep you focused may be helpful in managing your time. One method is known as the Pomodoro Technique by Francesco Cirillo. Set the timer for 25 minutes. When you see the visual cue, that is the clock face getting smaller, it helps you form a new habit of staying on track and focused. Answer emails only during that time. When the clock stops,
use the next 5 minutes to do stretches and resistance band exercises. This gamifies the task, gives a reward for completing 25 focused minutes, breaking up the hour into manageable portions, plus the added benefit of forming a new habit of healthy exercise while giving your mind a rest. Then, do another round of 25 task-focused minutes with 5 minutes of exercise to complete the hour. The daily focus is my tool to document what you hope to achieve and reinforce a reward system when you do accomplish your goals. The template can be printed out and written in the old-fashioned way, or it can be maintained in Excel, allowing access from your desktop, laptop, or the cloud, so it's easily accessible at all times. To acknowledge your success in completing tasks, give yourself a star on paper or an emoji or GIF if you're working digitally, reinforcing your accomplishments. Even the act of checking something off your focus list can feel rewarding. For example, at the end of week 1, if you've met your goal of exercising X number of times a day, reward yourself with something that you value. Maybe it's a massage or a pedicure, or maybe it's going to the park to play catch with your kids. Pick something that will reinforce your new behavior and not undermine your other goals. Don't use food as a reward if you're trying to lose weight. Write down your reward and acknowledge your achievement on your daily focus. At the end of 4 weeks of creating the habit, reward yourself with something meaningfully related to the goal. For example, buy a balance ball to add another challenge level to your physical fitness goal. I know I said multitasking doesn't work, but the balance ball is an exception to that rule. The workout your core receives is amazing, and it takes no time out of your day. Sitting is something you'd be doing anyway. Win-win.
Remember, time is your most valuable asset. Carefully choose how you spend it. By using the daily focus and activity tracker, you're well on your way to achieving your aspirations and freeing up time for what you truly love. Find out more, visit my website at lifesimplified.com. And if you have any questions about this or other tools on my website, please email or ask a question in the chat below. Thanks for watching.
To find out more, visit lifesimplifiedforyou.com.